to deal with this. Emmy Award-winning Chicago evening anchor at WGN, our partners here in Chicago, Ben Bradley, is with us, also their chief investigative reporter. Nice to see you, my friend.
Nice to see you. Welcome back to Chicago.
It is good to be here. Is Politico overstating the problem?
I think there is a contingency for just about anything. They're worried about protesters not just outside of the convention, but also inside the hall as well. We've seen how wily demonstrators have become, and their ability to infiltrate presidential events, vice presidential events, or a convention is clear. You roll that into the fact that Brandon Johnson, Chicago's mayor, said in the last couple of days, I used to be one of those protesters. And you have this feeling of, we're not exactly sure what will be allowed or what won't be allowed. But,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point in terms of what will and will not be allowed. And you think about what was allowed in Chicago during 2020, the looting and sort of the mass chaos that was allowed here. Who makes the decision? Is it Brandon Johnson? Is it Governor Pritzker? Is it Joe Biden?
Well, there's layers of security. The Secret Service
they own the United Center.
For the United Center. Look, nobody wants to have ugly scenes on the streets of Chicago, including Brandon Johnson. In fact, his administration is being sued for denying protesters the right to be close within earshot of the convention hall. Governor Pritzker, who likely has presidential aspirations of his own and worked very hard to get the convention here in Illinois, wants this to go off very well. But you have this odd scenario where you have Joe Biden, who may or may not put on a great performance in front of thousands. You have protesters who might interrupt because they may be delegates, so they may have a right to be inside the convention hall. And you better believe the DNC wants to script this as tightly as possible. Sure. And that includes the famous moments we've seen over the years where there's an open mic on the convention floor as each state announces who their delegates will go for.
Right, hence perhaps going to the 2020 model of the pre-produced video, something like that. It's interesting how far Chicago has come, right? Because in 2008, Chicago was united around their favorite son, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden, his vice president. Take a listen.
If there is anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, who still wonders if the dream of our founders is alive in our time, who still questions the power of our democracy, tonight is your answer.
So how did Chicago, that in 2008 was really a place that rallied around Barack Obama and the Democratic Party, has now splintered in the way that it has?
Well, it's fair to say Chicago was high on hopium on that warm November night when Barack Obama, was speaking there. He was a favorite son.
Yep.
He was, there was a lot of pride. And there was a reason that was in Grant Park, because he believed in showcasing our city. Our politics are very different nowadays because we have fractures in both parties that are on full display. Back in just, a decade ago, under Obama, the party apparatus was able to keep those dissenting voices quiet. They're not able to do that anymore. And in fact, protest and interruption and flagrantly violating the norms has become the norm for both parties. That'll be on display in the Illinois State Capitol next week when Brandon Johnson and the Chicago Teachers Union, who got him there, are going to be busing teachers to the state capitol to yell and holler that they want more money from the Democrats who are in control in Illinois.
Wow. And I know that's actually a great scoop that you had. It's on WGN's website, and we're going to have you on next week to talk about that day. It's going to be wild to watch and to think about the taxpayers are paying for the teachers to go down there. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.